What's up everyone? Welcome back to Everything Jax Real Estate. My name's Justin. I'm with the Realkeeper Home Team here with eXp Realty. And on this video, we're gonna be going over the market update report for the city of Jacksonville. In this video, we're actually gonna be breaking down and going over all the data as it concerns the amount of homes in the market, the amount of homes under contract, as well as the amount of homes that sold and how that relates to not just the list price, but also the sold price and the days on market. So when I come back, we're gonna go over all of that great information. All right, welcome back everyone. All right, before we get into this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notified when we post more content like this in the future. So we're gonna start going over the city of Jacksonville and the market report for the month of October. And the first thing we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at what's called the pen to list ratio. Now what this does is it measures the overall amount of homes that were listed in October, as well as the amount of homes that went under contract in October, and it's going to kind of pit them against each other. And what it does is it shows us that there were 668 homes that went under contract in October, and out of 2,191 homes. Now, it did leave 1,523 still available as we go into November now, but the percentage that we get, this ratio, is 30.5%. Now, in previous videos, that 30.5% is actually, it was higher in say September versus this month it was 30.5. And what that tells us is that one, we are seeing a bit more homes on the market, and two, we are seeing a bit less homes going under contract. Now, this is very typical for the time of year, with different seasonality trends that we do tend to see here in Jacksonville. So it's not that uncommon, but to put it all in perspective, 30.5% still is very strong for sellers and also for buyers. Now what we also see is that the majority of homes, or the median homes in the market, price point wise, was $300,000 to $400,000. That made up the majority of homes at $305,000 in that price point. What we saw too is, although that was the majority of homes, the median list price of the homes that did hit the market was $434,590, so call it $435,000. And what that tells us is that ultimately there's more homes hitting the market above $400,000 than there are below $300,000. So even though $300,000 to $400,000 makes up the majority, or the highest amount price point wise of homes that did hit the market, there's more homes above that price point than below that price point for Jacksonville currently. Now we're also going to look at the number of listings for sale in relation to the amount of pendings that were under contract. And what you're going to see here is that most price points, there are more homes for sale than there are pending. Now you may ask yourself, well, isn't that pretty normal? And when we look at previous years of data, it was a lot closer than what this graph shows. And so it's always good to highlight that we are having more homes on the market in relation to what's actually under contract. We also saw here that there was a total of 3,830 contracts that closed in the last 6 months. So that's a pretty substantial number, 3,830 for the area. And also how that relates to median sold price is it did leave a median sold price of $365,000. So pretty substantial amount of homes going under contract and selling. And the price point 365 is a very healthy price point for the overall area, which kind of puts us right there in line too with the amount of homes that are actually being listed being 300,000 to 400,000. So all that does kind of add up. Now we also see here that there were 783 listings that failed to sell. Now, homes can fail to sell for multiple reasons. Sometimes sellers just choose to take up the market. Sometimes, the home may have been priced too high, which is why it never sold. Sometimes the condition may not match the price that they're trying to get. Sometimes it can be that just the realtor who the seller was using just maybe didn't list it as well as they could have. Every realtor has their different strategies, and some are better than others. And if you are looking for a home there, you probably can sometimes see that with the different homes you may be looking at. That being said, just because the home fails to sell isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's going to be something that we're going to see in any sort of market. But the important thing to note with this is that if that number keeps going up as we go into future months, then that could be a negative indicator for demand, positive, negative indicator for supply, for seller. And so ultimately that is something to kind of take into account as we go into the rest of this year, beginning of first quarter of 2024. Next up, we're going to look at the median days on market for the area. And what we're going to find is that for active homes, the median time on the market right now for them is about 44 days. That number could go up as we go into future months, it could go down, but all the homes that are on the market right now, the median time frame is about 44 days. Some are more, some are less. However, when we look at the solds, what we find is that the median days market for solds for the last 6 months was 27 days on market. And as previously mentioned, the median price of those homes that sold in the last 6 months was $365,000. Now, question for this is, how does this relate to the last 30 days? How does this relate to October? Obviously, 6 months is great to know about, but ultimately October is the most important thing here because that's the most recent. And what I can tell you is for the month of October, we actually saw things stay pretty stagnant in relation to the 6 months of data. So the days on market for the last 30 days was 27 days, same as the last 6 months. And the price point stayed pretty level. We were at $365,500 for the last 6 months. For October, we were at $365,000. So that's obviously good to know because it means that there's not a ton changing currently with the market here in Jacksonville overall. But obviously certain areas may be seeing more negative changes, certain areas may be seeing more positive changes. What we also noticed is that the median list to sales ratio for the area was 97.6%. A little bit less than last month, and if you're a buyer, you probably love hearing that number go down because it just means that the lower the number that is, the more ability a buyer has to negotiate. In essence, for every $100,000 of price a seller is trying to get, they're getting roughly $97,000 to $98,000 of that for their home from a buyer. Now, as we see these rates, or as we keep an eye on these rates moving forward, we may see that these rates may cause that percentage to go down some, as sellers may have to incentivize buyers a little bit more, as the rates are a little bit higher now than they were earlier this year, and even obviously last year. The other thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the absorption rate for the area. So the absorption rate measures the amount of homes on the market as it relates to months of inventory. And so realistically, what this tells us is that we have, for the last 6 months, we have 2.4 months of inventory. 2.4 months is a good amount of time. It is an increase from previous months. However, it's not a super high amount of inventory of homes, which just means that it's not a buyer's market. It still means that it is a seller's market, but not as hyper seller's market as it was in previous months or previous years. That's another thing that we're going to want to kind of key into as we go into future months is, how does that change? Do we see more homes hit the market? Do we see less homes hit the market? If we see more, the number's going to go up. If that number goes up, the listed sales ratio will probably go down. And vice versa. If we see that number go down, then the listed sales ratio will probably go up because there'll be less inventory and sellers won't have to give up as much to buyers for them to buy their home. So that's obviously a great indicator to kind of keep an eye on. Now, obviously, we'll look at these two graphs real quick. Median sold price, we did see October's median sold price did stay pretty similar to September, a little bit increase from August. That's pretty standard for what we're seeing across the board for Jacksonville currently. Days on market, days on market is still staying about the same, so nothing too crazy going on there. Now, as we look at this table here, this measures the absorption rate as it pertains to different price points. And what you're going to see is for Jacksonville as a total right now, anything under $500,000 is in a price point where it's very desirable. There is still a lack of inventory in relation to the amount of buyers that are looking in those price points. And so ultimately those price points will typically get the closest list to sale ratio. They're going to get the closest price for their home in relation to what they have it listed at from buyers because there is more competition. But what we do see is as you start to go a little bit higher in the price points, we do start to see a little more inventory, which is actually more than we saw last month across the board. And so that's normally a good sign that if you are at a higher price point here in Jacksonville, you have a little less competition and you can do a little bit more negotiating for the home you may want. All right, now that is going to finish our market update report for the city of Jacksonville. If you have any other questions as far as it pertains to what we went over in this video, or any questions that I may not have gone over in this video, my contact information is down below. Feel free to schedule time on my calendar. We can hop on a one-on-one Zoom call, meet face-to-face virtually, and go over any questions you may have as it pertains to any specific areas in Jacksonville, or even other areas around Jacksonville like St. John's, Clay, Nassau County. One thing about myself, I'm born and raised here in Jacksonville, so I always like to help people when it comes to making the decision on where they want to live here in Jacksonville. So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.